Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners. This is our regular scheduled meeting for October 7th, 2019. We're at the Williamsburg Fire Department, and we'd like to thank those folks for their hospitality. This is one of our on-the-road meetings, and we enjoy getting out in the community. We have a lot of business to cover tonight, but we're going to start with our invocation. I'm going to ask Pastor Ronnie Jones to come forward from Burton Memorial Missionary Baptist Church here in Reidsville. He's going to do the invocation. He'll be followed by some kids from the 4-H Club. They're going to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father God, I come to you in the name that is above every name tonight, in the name of Jesus, my Savior. And Lord, I pray for your hand on this meeting, God, today. Lord, your word commands us to pray for those who have authority over us, kings and rulers and leaders. And God, so I pray for each and every one of these men tonight, Lord. God, I pray that you would give them direction and leadership, God, and guidance in what is right and righteous and just, God. Not leaning to their own understanding, God, but leaning to yours. And Lord Jesus, I pray that you would lead them and guide them, God. And Lord, not only did you command us to pray for these local leaders, God, you commanded us to pray for all leaders above us. So Lord, I pray for leaders at the state level and at the national level, God, that you give them wisdom, direction, and leadership for this great land, Lord. I pray that you lead them as they lead us, God. And I pray for your hand of leadership and guidance here tonight, God, that there be clarity and wisdom, God. Above every party, Lord, may you be honored before these people, each and every one that's here, God. And I pray that you would give wisdom, Lord, in this time. May you be honored with everything we do, Lord, and may you be lifted up high tonight, Lord Jesus. We thank you for saving us, keeping us, Lord, and for this opportunity to pray in your name, God. Now we need you, Lord, at this time. Come, Lord Jesus. In his name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, we've had an opportunity to review the agenda that was proposed. We've had it over a week to review it. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve it, but before I do, is there any additions or deletions from the agenda as provided?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Travis.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 7th agenda with removing 7E and 12B and adding personnel in closed session.
Okay. I got a motion by Commissioner Travis to remove items 7E, 12B, and add to our closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6 to discuss personnel. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5. At this point in time during our meeting, we like to recognize individuals for their accomplishments in our community. The first one is going to be an adoption of a resolution congratulating the Reidsville Recreation All-Star for winning the Dixie Youth World Series Championship. And I'm going to ask County Manager Lance Metzler to read it, but before I do, I'm going to ask those gentlemen and the kids to come forward if they're here with us tonight. And they can line up right out front. Because if we're going to talk about you, we want to see you.
All right.
All right.
politically correct team.
I've noticed that.
I like it.
Is this all?
Is that it?
Yes, this is most of it.
Okay.
Okay, a resolution congratulating the Reedsville Recreation All-Stars baseball team for winning the Dixie Youth World Series Silver Bracket. Whereas the Reedsville Recreation All-Stars team won 2 games to capture the 2019 Dixie Youth World Series Silver Bracket, which was held July 26th through the 30th, 2019 in Ruston, Louisiana, completing a successful regular season of 6 wins and no losses and finishing second in the Dixie Youth North Carolina State Baseball Tournament with a record of 5 wins and 2 losses. And whereas the Reedsville Recreation All-Stars, who are ages 6 to 8 years old, are only one of 16 teams from the southeastern United States to earn a sought-after spot in the Dixie Youth World Series. And whereas this accomplishment represents the first Dixie World Series Baseball Championship won by the Reedsville Recreation All-Stars. And whereas the success of the 2019 Reedsville Recreation All-Stars baseball team can be credited to their individual talents and their working together as a team. Now, therefore, the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners hereby congratulates the 2019 Reedsville All-Stars baseball team for its outstanding season and for its accomplishments in winning the Dixie Youth World Series Silver Bracket, and in particular, congratulations to the players, coaches, and parents for their personal contribution to this outstanding accomplishments. I'm going to try this. The players: Connor Behe, John Belcher, Colton Crome, Marcus Fleming, Chase Gingler, Justice Jones, Liam Jones, Brody Lovelace, Quentin Neal, Noah Rumley, Nick Wright, Hayden Young. Head coach Andy Gingler, coaching staff Matt Behe, Brian Lovelace, Brian Humley, and Hal Young. This the 7th day of October 2019. Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, move for approval of the resolution.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Richardson for approval of the resolution. I got a second by Commissioner Travis. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Be sure and see Chairman Pirtle there. He has a reminder that you're in a good place in Rockingham County. Glad to see you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah.
You can have it.
Congratulations. Boys still playing ball?
Actually, just finished. Yeah, we're gonna get a picture. Back here.
Coaches, we'll put the coaches in the middle.
You guys take it.
Oh, they don't have to kneel.
All right, Coach, I'm gonna let y'all hold that, and we'll stand to the side. And we're gonna do 2 pictures. This is the first one. And the second, we're gonna ask our parents to come down and stand with us. All right, we good? All right, we good? All right, I'm gonna ask the commissioner to step aside. I'd like the parents to come down and get their pictures, and we'll stand behind you. We'll stand to the back and get all the parents as we're down here with them.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if you call it here.
Maybe we need to have a baseball tournament. Get everybody at the commission.
Don't make sure I'm tearing it off. I forgot. I was praying it didn't rain. Is this all the parents? All righty. Everybody look towards Doug and Mabel. All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all very much.
Right.
Another resolution. Yes. Thank you. You bet.
Stop doing the dogs? What's that? Stop doing the dogs?
Good night. How you doing, man? Good to see you. How's the kennel going out there?
Oh, man, that'll clear it out quick, won't it?
That was good. That was good. We'll let them get out the door.
It's good, though. It feels good.
All right, gentlemen. The next item on our agenda is 5B. This is adoption of a resolution honoring Kelly Watkins for her service to this board. Kelly is leaving us to pursue a career and a relationship in another part of the state, so we will miss her. But, Mr. Manager, I'm going to get you to share with us that resolution.
Okay, this is a resolution recognizing Kelly G. Watkins for her service to Rockingham County, whereas Kelly G. Watkins began working at Rockingham County Library in 2007 and was employed at the Madison branch as a library assistant until 2013, whereas in August of 2013 she accepted a job with the Board of Elections and received training to become a certified North Carolina elections administrator, and was working as senior deputy director when appointed as clerk to the Board of Commissioners on July 19, 2018, whereas the clerk of the board is responsible for the keeping and retention of official records of the county, and most importantly, ensuring a full and precise account of all the actions of the governing body. And whereas during her time as county clerk, Kelly G. Watkins has been dedicated to accuracy and professional experience in her services to the Board of Commissioners and to the county. Now therefore be it resolved that the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners expresses their appreciation to Kelly G. Watkins and honors her service to Rockingham County and all of its citizens. This the 7th day of October 2013.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Okay, item number 6, and we certainly appreciate everything that Kelly done. I'm sorry, we need a resolution, so I need to take an action. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I got a motion by Commissioner Berger to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. And we appreciate that, and I know we have someone here and they can make sure that that gets delivered. Ms. Pam, thank you. Item number 6, I'd like Morgan Manus to come forward from Rockingham County 4-H Cooperative Extension. We're going to adopt a proclamation to declare Rockingham County 4-H Week October 6th through the 12th. And I think she has some guests with her. They're
Yes,
doing an excellent job in leading the pledge.
I am not going to be the one speaking tonight. I do want to introduce our 4-H'er who is going to be speaking with you, and that's Patrick Winchester. He is with the Double Springs 4-H Club, and then I'd also like to ask our other 4-H members to come up and stand with him.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you about the 4-H program. My name is Patrick Winchester, and I attend Rockingham Middle School as a 7th grader. I joined Double Springs 4-H Club about 3 years ago. I would now like to give you a little bit of history on 4-H. In the late 1800s, researchers found that adults in the farming communities did not accept new agriculture ideas and developments, but they realized young people were more open to change. In this way, youth programs were introduced to new agriculture technology to the farmers. This was the first step towards youth learning more about agriculture and industry in their community. In 1902, A.B. Graham started a youth group in Clark County, Ohio. This is considered the birthplace of 4-H. The first club was called the Tomato Club, or the Corn Growing Club. By 1912, these groups were called 4-H clubs. In 1924, 4-H clubs were nationwide, and the clover emblem was adopted. An H on each leaf represents head, heart, hands, and health. In North Carolina, 4-H is a partnership between NC State University and A&T State University. Today, 4-H serves in rural, urban, and suburban communities in every state. North Carolina claims more than 229,500 youth members and thousands of volunteers, while Rockingham County's 4-H program numbers more than 3,000 youth and more than 200 volunteers. We are tackling the nation's top issues, from climate change to sustainable energy. 4-H offers a wide variety of STEM opportunities, from agriculture and animal science to rocketry, robotics, and computer science, just to name a few. Our motto is to make the best better. Our slogan is learning by doing. In Rockingham County, we are proud to have the Betsy Jeff Penn 4-H Educational Center, where camps and retreats are held. Rockingham County has 8 4-H clubs, and we participate in a variety of events and community projects. There's always something to do in 4-H. 4-H has changed my life in so many ways. I participated in presentations that have taken me all the way to the state level. I've won ribbons in recognition for my work. I've never thought that I would be able to stand before a crowded room and speak, but I did, and it was amazing. I've helped with community service projects, such as food drives, cleaning up Betsy Jeff Penn Center after the storms last year, and mentoring the younger members of my club. I have more confidence in myself and the things I do. I participated in different youth development camps, such as 4-H Investigates, Robotics, Fit Day, Farm the Table, and we even went to a Grasshoppers game. I spent a week at Betsy Jeff Penn where I met some awesome camp leaders and 4-H members. I learned skills that I never would have if it hadn't been for 4-H. I plan to go as far as possible in 4-H. I would love to go to Congress someday in the future. I want to attend more workshops and camps. Someday after I age out of the program, I would love to be a camp leader and possibly a 4-H volunteer after I age out of the program. Thank you for your time tonight, and I hope you all have learned something new about 4-H. I would now like to ask the Rockingham County Commissioners to help us celebrate National 4-H Week by proclaiming October 6th to the 13th as National 4-H Week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whereas 4-H youth across the nation are leading efforts to solve problems in their communities and make a difference for their futures, whereas 4-H is the largest youth development organization in North Carolina and the largest in the nation with 6 million young people. Whereas 4-H in North Carolina claims more than 229,500 youth members and thousands of volunteers, while Rockingham County's 4-H program numbers more than 3,200 youth and more than 200 volunteers, whereas 4-H is part of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension System of North Carolina State University and A&T State University is a program where youth learn through opportunities that provide them hands-on experiences in 4-H's mission mandates of science, engineering, and technology, healthy living, and citizenship. Whereas 4-H has connected youth and their communities with the innovative research and resources from our nation's 106 land-grant universities and colleges of more than 100 years. Now, therefore, we, the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 6th through the 12th, 2019, as National 4-H Week in Rockingham County. We urge the people of this community to take advantage of the opportunity to become more aware of this special program that enhances our young people's interest in their future as part of Rockingham County 4-H youth development, and to join us in recognizing the unique partnership between our county and our state university system.
Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, any comments?
I'd like to make one. Mr. Winchester, I believe, is going to represent Rockingham County next year at the statewide convention of county commissioners. Great opportunity. We look forward to seeing you. By the way, I really like your last name, but we hope to see you before then. But that's quite an honor there to be amongst the 100 best youth in the state of North Carolina. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good presentation.
Thank you very much. You did a great job.
Yeah, sure. It was probably sure. We aim to please.
Yeah, stand behind.
Stand right here.
We're going to stand right behind. Did a great job. Come on, get straight. I'll get in the middle. I'll get in the middle.
There you go, slide down. Come on, raise it. Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Maybe we still take the picture.
Maybe we got in the way.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, gentlemen, item number 7 is the consent agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, these are items that we place on the agenda that are non-controversial. If all the commissioners had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any concerns or questions, I direct you to contact the city manager with any specific questions about any item on the consent agenda. That being said, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval of the consent agenda as amended.
I got a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, if you could, would you please have the board approve that 4-H proclamation for the record?
You don't usually.
Okay, I didn't know if we did.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for approval, Mr.
I
Chairman.
got a motion by Commissioner Travis for approval of the adoption of the proclamation. Second by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Changing the rules on us.
Yeah, we changed midstream. Don't change the rules on us, man.
Don't change the rules.
All right, gentlemen, we on item number 8. This is the public comment period. We have 2 people signed up to speak tonight. Prior to speaking, I'll ask our county manager to read our the rules of engagement for public speaking.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The public comment period shall be for the purpose of allowing the members of the public to present any matter pertaining to county business or items on the Board of Commissioners' agenda. This period shall not serve as a forum for debate with the Board of Commissioners. Remarks shall be addressed directly to the Board of Commissioners and not to staff, the audience, or media. The chairperson will open the public comment period. Any speaker who wishes to speak shall approach the podium and not speak from his or her seat. Each speaker shall clearly state his or her name and physical address when he or she approaches the podium. Each individual shall be allotted 3 minutes. A citizen will be allowed to yield their time on a specific topic by utilizing one more attendee's time. This would allow no more than 6 minutes. I will keep the time for the speaker and notify the chairman of their limit. We don't have the little machine here that keeps up with time, so I'm going to keep up with it on my phone and notify the chair when the 3 minutes is over. I'm going to bypass all that. It talks about the clock. If you are to yield time or time is yielded to you, then please let the chairman know in advance. Speakers appearing before the Board of Commissioners will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, or use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person or which, when directed at a public official, is not related to his or her official duties. The Board of Commissioners may accept written comments in lieu of oral statements. Written statements can be delivered to the County Manager's office. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Metzler. The first person signed up to speak tonight, I'm going to ask you to come to the podium, Mr. Malcolm Allen. If you'll come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Malcolm Allen, Eden NAACP, Highway 770, Eden, North Carolina. I come here tonight to bring to your attention an injustice in our county. Recently, an employee of this county who has served faithfully for 19 years was terminated without warning or justification. This employee was released from the register of deeds office and only told to clean out her desk. During a time when we are still reeling from the favoritism in the DA office and in our city manager office, we suspect again favoritism has raised her ugly head. Companies interested in coming to our counties research the county's background. They find corruption in the DA office, in the city manager office, and unsubstantiated firing of long-term time workers. To compete with our larger counties, we need to go forth with our brightest, experienced, and best, not our favorite. This employee who at her April appraisal was told, "Great job, keep up the good work." An employee who trained most people in her group. We are told, get an education, work hard, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And this reward for that is you're fired. Just because her boss has a right to fire a good, dedicated employee doesn't make it decent, moral, and intelligent thing to do. If she is replaced by someone from an outside organization or post office who has never worked there, how can that best 19 years of service? People are elected to do what's best for the county, not their personal ego. Don't let Rockingham County be labeled the place of corruption and favoritism. This is our first stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Doug Isley, come forward. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doug Isley, 1790 Flat Rock Road, Reidsville, North Carolina. Just wanted to come tonight, and I'm going to direct this to the board because I was just listening to Mr. Metzler read the statements, and you can't direct it towards the audience, so I'll direct it towards you, gentlemen. Anybody overhears it? The school board, we've had 2 successful auctions to sell off surplus property that we had around the county, and we have our final auction coming up this Saturday the 12th. It starts at 9:30 a.m. You can get there and get your buyer number at 8 a.m. We're going to have things like lawnmowers, buses, some woodworking equipment, just a lot of goods that some folks in the county might be able to use, and it will go back to help our schools, put it back into our capital improvements to take care of roofs and projects around the school system. And I thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Isley. All right, gentlemen, that concludes item number 8. No one else has signed up to speak. We'll move right on along to item number 9. Item number 9 is a rezoning case. I'll ask Ms. Carrie Spencer to come forward and talk to us about item number 9A, the Harry Rakestraw Washburn Road at Gold Hill.
You have before you a zoning case requesting rezoning from residential agriculture to residential protected. The parcel that is being requested is about 57 acres, 56.75. It's located at the intersection of Gold Hill Road and Washburn Road on the northwest corner of that intersection. It's currently zoned RA. Adjacent properties are residential protected, residential agricultural, excuse me, and nearby properties zoned light industrial and highway commercial. The neighborhood's predominantly characterized by residential and agricultural uses, transitioning to industrial and commercial uses along Highway 220. So the staff feels as though this request does meet the letter of the ordinance and of the land use plan. The property is located in a rural transition land class to the Rockingham County Land Use Plan. Characteristics of that class include lands where residential development is grouped in existing developments and crossroad community settlements, where it will occur in similar neighborhoods and settlements during the following 20-year period.
Okay. Gentlemen, I have two people that have signed up to speak. So at this time, I will declare the public hearing open. The public hearing open. The first person signed up to speak will be Mr. Harry Rakestraw. And you'll have 3 minutes. State your name and address.
Harry Rakestraw, 283 Foster Farm Road. I just wanted to be available to speak in case y'all had any questions about the rezoning. But basically, the land is for the best use, what we're rezoning for, I think.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Rakestraw. The second person to sign up to speak is Mr. John Ahern. Did I pronounce that right? If Mr. Ahern, if you'll come forward and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm John Ahern, 524 Ogburn Mill Road, Stokesdale, North Carolina. I'm in Rockingham County. I'm building a house on Gold Hill Road, 613 Gold Hill Road. Anyway, I just want to ask the commissioners on their rezoning request if they will consider, I mean, you could bring in water, the water is already on 220. I'm asking that maybe with the developers and everything, we could form a partnership to extend the water lines, because, you know, I hear people complaining about the water tables and everything else are going down and this and that, where we're digging private wells. And community wells, you know, some of them are trying to tie them together, but we already have the water down 220. So why not make it available up Gold Hill Road, and then there could be more development or whatever with that, but at least you wouldn't have to worry about the water. My other concern would be for our infrastructure, as far as our building inspectors, our health inspectors. As we grow, and we are growing, on 73, you know it's coming. We need to be making preparations for more inspectors and to keep the ones we got. It seems like we're a training ground that sends them to Guilford, Alamance, Forsyth County. I just ask that y'all consider that. And the only way to do that is sort of become a little more competitive. I think the builders, and I would agree, developers, you know, we're willing to pay our fair share to help out. But if we could form some kind of partnership, I think we would be better off. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahern.
And Mr. Ahern, just to let him know, I think we've got some things that we've discussed, and as far as what may be possible with water lines and developments, and we're formulating some possibilities there. So we appreciate you mentioning that tonight, but we are brainstorming on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor or against? In favor or against this zoning request 2019-009? If not, declare the public hearing closed. All right, gentlemen. Have we got any questions of Carrie or any comments?
Do a motion.
I got a motion to approve.
Motion to approve 2019-009.
To include the statement of analysis.
As statement and analysis.
009 or 008?
Okay. I got a motion to approve rezoning case 2019-009 to include statement analysis by Commissioner Travis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Richardson. Is there any further discussion?
Just want some clarification on our notes here, our packet. We've got two different numbers. One says 009 and one says 008. So we just want to make sure that we've got the right number that we're...
It is indeed 009.
It's not, okay. All right, just want to make sure that's clear before we... Yeah. Nothing else.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rakestraw. All righty. The next case is 9B, rezoning case 2019-010. Ms. Spencer?
Got the same situation.
Well, that's got the same situation, so it is 1-0.
It is 10, yes.
Okay.
You want to remove him now?
Okay.
I see, and I see exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. The next one's good.
All right. Ms. Spencer?
A zoning request for 118 acres immediately southwest of the intersection of Velvet Road and Gideon Grove Church Road. Adjacent property is zoned residential agricultural. Nearby properties are zoned residential protected and residential agricultural. The neighborhood is primarily characterized by residential and agricultural uses. Staff also recommends that this rezoning is within the letter of the Unified Development Ordinance and the Land Use Plan. The property is located also in the Rural Transition Land class of the Rockingham County Land Use Plan, with lands where residential development is grouped in existing neighborhoods and crossroad community settlements, where it will occur in similar neighborhoods and settlements during the following 20-year period. Forgive me for repeating that, but I feel like it's worth repeating each time so that you can look at it through the lens of the individual case. As I said, staff concludes that sufficient information has been given and recommends approval.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. We have two people signed up for public comment. At this time, I declare the public hearing for rezoning case 2019-010 open. There are two people signed up to speak. I'm going to ask the first gentleman to come forward, Mr. James Smith. Give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. I'm James Smith with James Smith Builders, and my address is 8430 Rumbley Road, Summerfield, North Carolina. And I had very little to say. I just was wanting to be able to build, I know it's 118 acres, but my plan was to just build like 7 houses on the road and 2 behind them on a little bigger tracks, and then there would be approximately 100 acres left. In fact, me and my wife probably was going to build on that piece in the back. And I have no intentions of developing the whole thing. It's just too complicated, and it goes back really far, so I just wanted to kind of let you know. In fact, I got a little picture here if you want to see what I kind of had planned on the front. If that makes any difference. It's okay. All right. That's pretty much it. I just want to let you know what I was hoping to be able to do. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. The next person signed up to speak is Mr. Robert Griffin. Mr. Griffin, if you'll come forward and give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Robert Griffin, 1139 Gideon Grove Church Road. My land's adjacent to this, along with the 100 acres on the straightaway that's being proposed to build houses on. So we're looking at 200 acres of farmland in Rockingham County. 200. That these people make a living out of, that they teach their kids how to farm. 3 farmers, Ronnie Marshall, J.B. Colley, and Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight farms 200 acres. He's one of the biggest farmers in this county. He leases my land. He farms he farms our land, and we have a 100-acre farm. The water, the people dig wells. Yes, Mr. Smith, he developed the land across from Velvet Road and built approximately 10 houses there. And now he's going to build supposedly 10 houses on a 110-acre tract. Ha ha, fool me. But where is the water going to come from all these wells? Look, the gentleman before just stated that he was hoping that Rockingham County was going to run water. Unlikely. We're at a farm. This is farm community. Where's the 4-H members now when I need them? This is rural farm area that these farmers have $500,000 of these big, you couldn't even get the equipment in this room, that they make a living of and teach their kids, or trying to teach their kids how to farm. But in the mornings when the school buses from these 70 houses and these 15, or how many houses it's being built, with these tractors go up the road, and the people's going to be blowing their horns and raising Cain because these farmers are trying to make a living. What's going to happen there? It's a bike route. It's a Rockingham County bicycle. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Have bicycle races. Build 70 houses or build 15 more houses, and you're looking at 3 more cars per house or whatever, however y'all figure it up. You know, they're not going to care about these bicyclists. They're going to run over them. It's going to be somebody's going to get hurt when all these houses. But the main thing is that the water. My well, I dug my well 5 years ago, and it was 500 feet. I mean, sure, you might get one every now and then that's 300, 350 feet, but the majority of these houses are not going to hit that. And it's supposedly supposed to have been a study. It was supposed to have been a hydroculture study or whatever. And yes, it passed 4-3. It took one man. It took one man to take away 200 acres of farmland. And like the preacher said, we hope that you gentlemen make the right decision. And that's what we're asking for. I live on our land, and it'll never, not while Bobby Griffin's breathing, it'll never turn into a housing development. Never. I'm a city boy. I'm from Eden, Reese. I'm from Eden. I lived in the city, but my wife grew up picking cotton. Picking tobacco. And I'm sorry I overtook, but I want you to understand how important this is for y'all's decision on this land, on this farmland. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I know right now.
Is there anyone else that did not sign up that would like to speak in favor or against zoning case 2019-010? Anyone else like to speak in favor or against 2019-010?
I would like to question Mr. James Smith.
Okay. Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith, I'm fairly familiar with this chunk of land. I got a couple of questions. I think you'll be able, I'm not asking you to be an expert witness, if you would. But the wells on this piece of property, how deep are they?
There's not, you mean the piece I'm trying to buy? There's not any wells on it. He was saying I wasn't 10 houses across the road. I built in the last 2 years, it was 6 houses, and we got wells on every one of them.
How
anywhere
deep?
From, I think the deepest one was 350 feet or 400, I can't remember, but we got wells on all of them. And like I said, I'm too old to try to develop this. You'd have to build a road down the middle of it and go way back. I'm hoping to retire in 2 years, so. And me and my wife's going to live on it. We're not going to, we're only going to build 7 houses. It's only been perked, and they've only allowed me to put 2 driveways in the back, so there'll only be like 7 houses on the front and 2 to possibly 3 right behind those, and then there'll be like 100 acres left. That me and my wife was going to build on it, and we're actually going to try to have a Christian camp.
Is this going to be a named development?
Which would be our personal. It wouldn't be something that a bunch of people's coming in all the time. It's going to be our personal stuff. Sir, what'd you say?
So not a name. What I'm getting at is, are you prepared to pipe water from 220 I-73 over there if the wells don't cut it?
220 to 73. I don't know. That'd be a long way.
Yeah, Simpson Road.
Simpson.
No, it's not Simpson Road. It's across Camp Carefree. It's a direct line. I think you'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 or 5,000 feet of pipe you'd have to do. And I'm just estimating from the drawing here.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know how much anything like that would cost, but I assume we can get wells,
I'm thinking about after people get in these houses, if the wells dry up.
Oh, right, yeah. At that point in time, I guess you'd have to, because we'd be living on the property too. I guess whatever you'd have to do, yeah.
And I'm a little curious, it's not clear on this drawing, for the houses behind the road fronts, I'm talking about Gideon Grove Road front.
Right.
How are you going to provide access to those?
I've got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Picture right.
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Each house is going to have its own driveway, and you're going to have a road down the middle to your house. And then where's your driveway going to be?
Well, that's probably, this was if I didn't do it myself, but I'm planning, we've already decided my wife and I have to do it back here, so ours would be part of this right here, and it would attach to the rest.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate the fact that you're limiting the number of houses. Well, is that going to be part of a covenant, or?
Go ahead.
I'd invite you back to the mic so we can record your response.
Yeah, it don't matter to me if we write it a covenant, that's fine with me.
Commissioner Travis.
Carrie, I got a question for Carrie. You know, Carrie.
Oh.
Carrie. If he's only wanting to use 17 acres or 18 acres for the front, just for these housing development, why are you doing the whole property?
He requested the whole property be rezoned, and this is not a conditional rezoning request where you could make it predicated on a certain number of homes.
Well, it seems like to
So
me
he's-
he's really just interested in developing the front 18 acres.
It was a,
So why would, I mean, he can still build a house on the remaining acres if he can just does the front 17 acres.
it's a property owner's right to
Discretion.
request, yeah. They just requested zoning for the entire property.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mark.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hall.
I've got a question for Carrie as well while you're here. On item 4 of the report, you mentioned the floodplain and wetlands.
Yes.
I guess, just for clarity, with these homes he's looking to build, would they be in these restricted areas, or for him to get permits, he would have to ensure that certain requirements are met?
He would not be allowed to build in the floodplain. He would not be able to put any sort of structure in the floodplain.
Okay.
And it's just with that, the idea of making you aware of floodplain and wetlands is just letting you know what the character of the property is.
So that would be addressed at the time submission for plans and permit?
Correct. When he submitted a subdivision of the actual lot layout, the wetlands and the floodplain would have to be clearly identified, and we would make sure that nothing was built in them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Gentlemen, before we go any further, is anyone that wants to speak in favor or against? In favor or against this zoning request? If not, I declare the public hearing closed. All right, gentlemen, now I'll entertain any other questions you have, Carrie. Commissioner Travis.
Mr. Smith, you mentioned that you would be willing to do a covenant for the front portion of the houses. I guess I need to ask the county attorney, what do we need to do? Because I will feel a whole lot better proving this once I get the covenant in hand.
Right. So this is basically what we're talking about is rezoning, straight rezoning requests. And so covenants usually when we're talking about transfer of property, deed work, covenants, but this is a straight rezoning.
That's right. So there is not an ability with a straight rezoning request, there is not an ability to impose conditions on the zoning. That we would be addressing covenants at the time of subdivision approval, and when TRC approves a subdivision, TRC would be seeing it. They could certainly address it at that point, and TRC does have some flexibility to require. But at the zoning at this point, there is not an opportunity to require that as a condition.
Okay. Any other comments?
Does the proposed number of houses meet the major subdivision requirement?
Depending on what he actually brings to us, but more than 5 will be major subdivision. I mean, he could actually come with 3 homes or 2 homes, and I think he's already invested in some soils work. So it's his prerogative whether he comes with 3, 4, or 5. But I see your point. If he comes only with a minor subdivision, TRC would not review it would just be in my office.
Well, you see, what I'm looking at is it could incrementally grow.
That would not be allowed. We take the parent parcel and go back to the subdivision of the parent parcel in calculating how many lots you can have over so many years. You can do a minor subdivision now, but you can't do more than 3 lots in addition to that over a period of time without having to come back to major subdivision.
Commissioner Travis.
You know, he's agreeing to covenant the land, so that says to me that he's willing to work with his neighbors and not to prove to them that he's not going to grow this to 100 houses. And I think that would make his neighbors a whole lot easier with 7 houses being there than compared to 20 houses. And he's already stated publicly that's what he's going to do. So is there a way that this can be tabled for him to sort this out and then we vote on it next go around? Or we have to vote on it tonight?
It would be your prerogative. You could either you could close the hearing, make a decision and close the hearing. You could continue or actually you have closed the hearing, I'm sorry. You could continue the discussion until a further, but if you do continue it, you'll need to show what additional information that you will have that you don't have now.
Reason is, he's going to be living there too, and he's got some great neighbors. He just don't know it yet. So I know some of your neighbors, and there's some great people around there. So you don't want to start off building a house and your neighbors hating you. That's the way I feel. But
in order to be able to add conditions to the zoning, such as the covenant, you would have to take action on this case, and then he would be able to apply for a different zoning district.
If I could interject on this one, is that if the request as it now stands tonight substantially changes, then that's going to start a new public hearing process, and then notice would have to be sent out again. So if it substantially changes from tonight, then we're going to need to hold another hearing.
Yeah.
What do you mean changes? Adding more houses?
Just the overall request. We have a straight rezoning request for this parcel of land.
Yeah, but it don't list how many houses he can build on it. He can build whatever he wants on it once we do it.
If it's a substantial change for the board's consideration, then it would need to go through the public hearing process.
You understand what I'm saying?
And they would want to see this hearing out, correct, John? Make a final decision about this hearing, close it, and then move on to a different advertised public hearing. They would need to take action on this one first.
Yes, I would say on this specific, what's before the board tonight, they would have to consider it, yes.
See, that's my only concern, Kerry, is I can approve a straight rezoning for that whole piece of property right now. He can build whatever he wants.
That's correct. He could build,
Okay, so if I can wait till he has a covenant or he changes this up a little bit, makes everybody feel a little bit more comfortable, then I'd be willing to vote on it. That makes sense.
We consider this change to a conditional request with standards and conditions. I think we would consider that a substantial change to the zoning district that he's asking for. He's not asking for the same thing again.
But also, Kerry, I don't want to hinder his development. I know he's already started working, so, I mean, money, time is money. I understand. So what is the options?
For him to, for you to take action on this request would actually, I think what you're talking about would be a denial. And then he would come back with a new application for a different zoning district, and it would get into into our hearing process according to your direction if it's to be different than our normal schedule.
But you're talking about weeks, though.
It does, and it needs time to be advertised properly, regardless of what we do. That new case will have to be re-advertised correctly as a new hearing, as a new case.
The houses that are being developed now is right there across from the Velvet Road. And I've rode in that area. I went up there and rode through that community from one end to the other. And it was, and I observed the new construction. With the plan that he just presented, gentlemen, obviously that would add somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 new houses on the road frontage. And 2 behind it, yeah. That new road frontage. My question, how big were the lots proposed on that piece of paper?
1 acre on all those on the front. One of them's a little bit bigger than an acre, and then the 2 behind are approximately 4 acres.
Okay. acre lots.
And then you plan on building your house on the remaining 100? Okay.
Okay.
And I do have to take the opportunity just to advise you that it isn't a condition of the rezoning. It's what he's stating that he will do, but he's not obligated.
He's not obligated. He just, that is what his statement.
That's correct, yeah.
That's right. And that's, but we run into
Fair.
that all the time.
Yes, we do.
Ask, where we have folks coming here with rezoning and do not share with us what their plan is.
That's right, he's a lot more than what they normally do.
Exactly right. So on that, I do appreciate it, because oftentimes when we have a rezoning case,
Yeah.
we are flying blind, and the concerned citizen has no idea what's going on. So, all right, gentlemen, with that, I will,
Mr. Chairman,
before-
Mr. Chairman, you mean to?
Well, I've consulted with the attorney, and I have actually a conflict in this case due to the type of work that I do, and so I'm just going to ask to be recused. And speaking with Mr. Morris, I believe that's what I need to do.
Need a motion?
Yes, a motion will be appropriate.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to exempt Commissioner Berger from this vote.
okay. Before we get any further, I got a motion by Commissioner Travis to exempt Commissioner Berger from this vote for a conflict of interest. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I got a second by Commissioner Hall. All in favor, minus Commissioner Berger, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Mr. Berger, you are excused. Okay, now, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion, or is there further discussion?
I got one question.
Commissioner Travis.
Kerry, if this zoning request is denied and for him to go back to tweak it, I guess, what's the time frame, and would it be any more cost to him?
First, I want to make sure that it would be a whole new request, so, and I think John and I would consult about whether the changes that he made were enough of a tweak. I don't want enough of a different zoning district, and conditions imposed would be. I'm scared of the word tweak in making it different, but he would be able to, this is October, November, zoning board, December, Board of Commissioners. That would give us adequate time for a hearing.
Commissioner Hall.
Make sure.
Did, Carrie, earlier you mentioned that at the time when he developed or presented a subdivision plan, that there would be an opportunity for him to place these conditions at that time?
Absolutely.
Since he's volunteered to do that tonight in this open meeting, while we can't place those restrictions on him, I appreciate him volunteering to do that and acknowledging that he'd have the ability to do that at that later time. I'd make a motion that we approve this case, 219-010.
Okay. I got a motion to approve rezoning case 2019-10 on the floor by Commissioner Hall. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chair, that's with statements and analysis. I just want to clarify.
I'm sorry, does that include your statement and analysis too?
Yes. Yes.
To include statement and analysis. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? I'll second it. All righty. All in favor of the motion presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
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 Okay, we have a tie.
Got to come back.
So,
It's denied.
It
A tie is a deny.
tie is denied.
But it does not preclude a reapplication.
No, it don't.
Sure, absolutely
No
not.
new application.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Smith, I would encourage you, I know that it was denied. Obviously, Commissioner Berger could not participate, but I think there was some discussion about cleaning up the application process, and I would maybe be neighbor-friendly in that application process. I don't know no other way to say it than that.
Well, see, it's not, the thing is, it's not really all about me. It's the fact that these people, well, see, this was supposed to have been done
It was,
a
and
month
that's-
ago, and that was held up, and it's the people that owns the land, they're having to hold it for me, you know, so it just keeps dragging that out. And naturally, I had plans to try to start, you know, the first of the year, and that'll never happen because it takes months. It'll hold me up for 2 or 3 months, and I won't have any, you know, I'll have to try to find something else to do, but I'll still, you know, I can still do it, you know, we can work this out.
Maybe we can expedite it.
But,
Expedite it.
but, you know,
Make it
just
fast track
whatever, so basically, what do I have to do? Just
expedite it.
because I can assure you, I wish I could sign a covenant, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
And I
all
know
my
the
plans to
covenant
do.
component is on the
Yeah.
land transfer.
I'm not stupid enough to take a chance on, especially that piece of property. It's 99% woods. It's not farmland. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like 10 acres of farmland on the front of it.
I rode up there.
You know, but so, and it's too rough to build a whole lot of houses on. So it's just a dream of mine, you know, and the Lord was working it out, I thought. But anyway, I still believe He will.
It'll
but-
still work out.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I do appreciate you
Yes.
coming and being forthcoming in your,
But, you know,
completely
Good or
transparent.
bad, it'll work out.
We will meet right away and make sure that we get into the next available.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item number C, rezoning case 2019-11.
I feel confident that we'll be able to work on a conditional zoning case that we can expedite as much as possible.
Thank you.
The next case is a very different type of request. This is a request from residential agricultural to neighborhood commercial conditional district. This is a case where there are conditions offered by the applicant, and you do have the opportunity to request additional conditions. It's a less than an acre parcel, just a little bit over a half an acre, located at Harrison Crossroad Loop, just north of the intersection with NC 14. By the way, I did consult with Reedsville's planner to see that this was in keeping with their ideas and vision for that area, and it was. It's not in their municipality, but it's very close, so I wanted to make sure that it was also in compliance with their plans for the area nearby. The neighborhood's characterized by residential, commercial, and recreational. The recreational use is a golf course in that area. The property surrounding the parcel has been developed as a golf course. The property was zoned residential agricultural in 1988, which basically means when the ordinance was adopted. It's located in the urban transition land class of the Rockingham County Land Use Plan, which is characterized as lands where local government plans to accommodate moderate to high density development during the following 20-year period. Development of parcels in this class is recommended in line with what the applicant has requested, and staff does recommend approval. There are other notes in your staff report. I don't want to read the whole thing, but if you have questions, I'd be happy to accommodate.
Okay. Gentlemen, we have one person signed up to speak. I'm going to declare the public hearing open on case 2019-011. 2019-011. I got Ms. Joyce Hall scheduled to speak. Ms. Hall, if you'll come forward, you'll have 3 minutes. Please start with your name and address. And thank you for being here.
Joyce Hall, and I reside at 716 Settlement Loop in Stoneville, Rockingham County. And basically, I signed just in case there were questions. I had nothing of my own to ask or so.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Travis.
Ms. Hall, I got a quick question. Is this the property with the house on it? Is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think every year they raise money for foster children. Do you know?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, but I live right down the road, so I think so, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. No more questions. Is anyone else present that would like to speak in favor or against zoning case number 2019-11? Anyone like to speak in favor or against? If not, I will declare the public hearing closed. All right, gentlemen, Is there any questions of staff? Ms. Spencer?
Your copy is awfully difficult to read, but
It was good on the electronic copy.
I didn't have any problem reading it. I move for approval, Mr. Chair.
I second.
All righty. I have a motion to approve 2019-011 by Commissioner
Analysis of statements.
Richardson. Let's make sure that ain't a 911 call. With the statement and analysis. Thank you. I have a second by Commissioner Travis. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All righty, back to Ms. Spencer.
as you're aware, the existing contract for updating our land use plan and unified development ordinance has been terminated, and we've put out a request for qualifications for a new contract. Request for qualifications is based on the quality and qualified nature of the firm that will submit. I've already received some inquiries from firms that are considering submitting for the project. I want to make sure you're aware of the schedule. It's a bit of a fast track because we really do want to get back on track with this project. Proposals are due October 18th. The expectation is that we'll be able to review proposals, meet as a advisory group immediately the next week, and I've reached out to all of them just to make sure that they're available. And then the hope is to be able to award a new contract at your November 4th meeting. Excuse me.
Okay, gentlemen. Is there any questions of Ms. Spencer concerning the status of the UDO?
That was it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Item number 10, Mr. Royce Richardson.
11.
Chairman, I'm sorry, 11. We just did 10. Mr. Royce Richardson, Chairman of the Board of Elections, and Ms. Tina Cardwell, Elections Director, for the staff budget request for 2020 primary.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Royce Richardson, Chairman of the Rockingham County Board of Elections. Pursuant to the letter that we got on September the 5th, or dated September the 5th, from County Manager on your behalf, we were directed to present a budget for the primary election staff for March primary next year. That'll be on March the 5th, 4th or 5th, which is first Tuesday. And so we sent a letter on September 19th to the county managers. I'm sure you probably got a copy of it, outlining our officials' cost for the primary. And in that letter, we mentioned that this was the worst case scenario. We don't know at this point what the state will direct us to do as far as any Saturday voting or if we decide to have any Sunday voting for the primary. We have figured 13 days beginning 2 weeks before the election on February 12th and ending on the Friday, February 28th. And that will be for the site at the Wentworth Board of Elections. This is for the early voting, one-stop voting, early voting in Wentworth, and 3 remote sites, one in regional Eden and the western part of the county. So you have a copy of our estimated cost. The cost for the one-stop voting for 13 days and all the people necessary to carry that out, $68,112. And on election day, at all 15 precincts, and the people working it will be $30,290. So that would be a total of, for the March primary, $98,402. That's compared to what we gave you last month for the municipal elections, which was about $21,000. Of course, in municipal, we only vote in 9 precincts in the city limits. So you have it. We're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, is there any questions?
What,
Commissioner Berger.
this letter, so this was prepared by the Board of Elections, or was it prepared by you or staff, or?
It was compiled by me and the director.
Okay. So what's the amount, the total amount that you requested for in this September the 19th letter?
The total amount?
Yes, sir.
$98,402.
Okay. And so the board itself did not make this request. This is a request that came from you and the director?
Well, the board got a copy of this.
But they never took any action on it?
No.
Okay. And during the budget process, what was the amount that y'all requested overall for the fiscal year?
That would be for the municipal and the primary.
Yes, sir.
Initially, for the 1920 budget, we have requested $110,979 based on what hours were believed were going to be required for early voting at the time.
And we've already appropriated how much for the municipal election?
21 something.
Is it 73?
Thank you, Paul. So, you actually, I guess for the budget request, was there board action on that?
With all budget requests, before we submit our request to you, yes, the board does vote on the budget before we turn it in.
But they didn't on this one?
No, this is a new situation to us. We've never, it was my understanding from the letter that was sent to our chairman when he approached me to help get the letters, was that we were being requested to provide, or he was being requested, the letter went to him to provide what we thought the estimate was going to be for the 2020 elections for our elections precinct staff, and what we thought that amount might be, an estimate.
And so, Mr. Richardson, did you consult with your other board members in regards to this letter prior to sending it?
No, I did not.
So this is a Mr. Richardson request?
As chairman of the board, working with the director, yes.
Okay. I mean, Paul, I think they're requesting that we basically budget additional amounts that have not been approved by their board. Is that correct?
So the total amount, if this request would be approved, is 119.
Yeah.
So the total amount between these two requests from the letters we received from the Board of Elections is $119,475. As Tina mentioned earlier, the budget had $110,979. The first request was slightly less than what elections originally counted on. So all in, they're about $8,500 short in that line of what from the two requests.
Okay. So I thought our request was to show us how you computed the number for the budget as a board.
Well, I mean, we got the breakdown of how we computed the total amount of money.
It seems to be a moving target from the board, or at least from you.
Well, the request was made of me, so I didn't have these numbers, so I worked with the director on it.
But you had the numbers during the budget process.
We made, what the board did pass our budget request in probably April.
So how did you come up with those numbers?
From the director.
Okay. So you didn't have anything to do with that?
Well, the board did.
Okay. Sounds to me like we need to kick this back to them and see if they can.
I guess my question is when we submitted a budget, and from the time the budget was submitted until we asked for it again, it went up $8,500 using the same math. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's slightly different math. At the time, we thought that the law, and we were going to be following what previous schedules, because you mentioned the moving target back when we started all this with the budget workshop. And it is always a moving target, because we don't know, number one, when we're presenting the budget, even when the board passes it, sent to you for a request, we don't know if the law will change, what days are required to be held, what the requirements are as far as hours. We don't know what the board has not yet passed a one-stop plan for the elections coming up in a budget year when budget is presented. So as I was explaining to you back early, I think it was February, earlier in the year, and you said a moving target. It is. With that being said, we try to always look at what we can do. We mentioned to you that we're always trying to send people home, especially when they're not busy at one stop. We always do try to do that. But as far as an exact number, we're not sure. When the laws do change, as of right now, it is confirmed that we are going to have to follow the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which potentially could change to 8 to 8, which won't change money. It'll just change our hours as far as our one-stop days. And it would be required from that Thursday second Thursday prior to that Friday. Looking at past primary elections where we were gearing towards trying to budget, which we always do, we look at what we've done in the past, not knowing what a board might pass. We look at what previous boards or previous elections, what was passed as their one-stop plan, which is passed after the budget. So it's always
One question for you is
not knowing.
What information did you get between the February meeting when you submitted a request and the letter that was submitted by Mr. Richardson? What new information did you get that required an $8,900 increase in your request?
When we were looking at the hours, when the initial budget request, when we were going through that process, we believed we were only going to have to do what we had done in previous similar elections. Remember, our elections are similar every other year, not every year. And that's what what we look at with this law that we're having, unless this law changes, with the law that we're having to look at now. We are required weekdays, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we did include in that, again, not knowing what the board will pass for their one-stop plan once that's voted on, we did include 3 remote one-stop sites in addition to our required site at our office. The reason we included that, both times, we did it in the initial budget and this time, is because in previous elections for primary elections, the other 3 sites were opened by different boards over the years for primary elections. As you see in the letter, our estimate, that's what it is on just the weekdays. When the board passes a plan, if they so choose to add a Saturday or a Sunday into that plan, that number, could change as well if they chose to add any of those days in. And again, as I think it is stated in the letter as well, if they're not unanimous in a one-stop plan, this has happened with our department before, it goes to the state board.
And I guess my question is, did you receive new information from the state that impacted you in changing your budget from February until we got this letter to account for the $8,500?
Looking at the fact that we had to vote the 12 hours instead of the 9.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. But the new request has not been, if I understand it correctly, has not been voted on by the board. It was just submitted by.
That's correct. That's correct. It was our understanding, and when he asked me, and we got the letter and looked at it just like we did with the municipal, it wasn't voted on for the municipal either. It was sent to the chair answered the letter, and you all approved the request. So it was my assumption that this was the same process. We've never had to do this process.
But that one was less, right? That one was less. The municipal request was less. Is that right, Paul? It was less than it was originally broke down, my understanding.
Right, but it was not voted on.
Yeah, but it was.
So y'all did or did not approve the municipal?
They approved it prior to submitting earlier this year our budget request to you.
Okay, but this one, it's just been the two of y'all.
The two letters, I was requested, the letter was sent to our chair. The chair asked me for a breakdown. We had a breakdown in our budget, but broke it down further because we were asked to break it down. So we took the breakdown that was in our initial budget and broke it down even further.
Okay. Commissioner Travis, you have a question.
Thank you. Royce, just a quick question. Why is it takes your board so long to get up a plan for the coming up elections? I think you said they haven't decided which one-stops are going to be open or whether we're going to be on a Saturday or not. Why do we wait till the last minute before y'all decide what y'all going to do so your budget could be more fine-tuned?
Well, we have to take direction from the State Board of Elections.
So you wait till the state...
And they tell us what days we can vote early, for instance.
That's what I thought it was. Thank you.
Yeah. This is all new to us. In the past, we've never had to do this. We had a budget, it was passed, and the director or the boards would come up with the money needed for the election out of the budget. Right. But we've never had to present this and break it down like it's before, so...
Well, I think what raised eyebrows is when the request come in higher than what it was in February.
Right, and that could change too. If we do go back to not having to open 7 to 7, it would go back much closer to that initial number that it was earlier this year. That's right. And there's always the potential that that may change.
But you mentioned that in the past you've always sent folks home from early voting when it's not very busy.
Yes.
But your request has 12 people per site for 13 days for 12 hours per day, so you didn't budget for sending anybody home.
Because we don't know if they're going to be busy or not.
And we set into this worst case scenario. It could be less than that, probably will be less than that.
It is always, and we almost always can. And we told you this back in the budget workshop and since then, and we'll continue. It is always our goal to make sure that we're properly serving the voters. We have our place assigned. I think the county's goal and y'all's goal and our goal is the same thing. We want to make sure that we're serving our voters and our sites are well-staffed and they're coming in and having the opportunity to vote, whatever the law is at that time. When we have the opportunity, yes, that was for the full 12 hours a day for the number of people that we're working, that we have scheduled to work. But with that being said, anytime during any election that they are not busy, we will send people home early. We might send, if they're closing at 7 and they are really slow and they have enough, should they have a last minute rush, we'll send someone home at 4, 5, whatever we can do. And the chief judges in our office work together on that. That's long before this new process we're having to do this year. We've always worked to try to do that. Previous chairs have always worked with us to try to do that. Previous boards. And we're going to continue to always try to do that. If the law changes and we become aware, we always try to let the county manager know, the attorney, whoever it involves, or you all know, this is going to cost us more money as soon as we see it or it comes to our attention, or we might be able to save this money. And we're always going to continue to try to do that, but it's always going to be an estimate.
I would love to see the State General Assembly rescind the law requiring us to vote 12 hours a day. It's stupid as far as I'm concerned.
It is. You're right.
Well,
Any other questions?
I still want to see where they came up with the number that they presented during the budget. That was the whole question. And then we came up with...
I thought in the letter we were
we're talking
asked...
about our budget that we presented.
May.
Well, it was
Ba-
earlier in the year
well,
when we
yeah.
presented it.
Like
All
February.
Based-
Something that's been
based on
approved by
past
the
elections.
Board of Elections.
Exactly.
Something.
Not the two of y'all, but the Board of Elections.
Well, it's in our minutes that it was approved, and who made the motion, and who seconded that motion.
Right,
It's
we
in our
wanted
minutes.
a breakdown of what you, that total figure, which we got it for the municipal election, but then we went on and asked for it for the presidential primary, of what you presented to us during the budget process. The $110,000, right?
Okay, in addition, because the letter said for this one, you were asking for the 2020 primary numbers.
Right,
Which
that's
is
right.
what you got.
Which, we already got 21,000 of the 110, so the balance would have been the presidential primary numbers.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what we were asking for, based on what was approved by the board.
That would be what was in the budget request. That was
Which would
given
have
to you
been,
early in the year.
and we asked for more information, and we couldn't get the answers then, and so we asked for that additional information. Then what's presented is something that the two of you came up with that's more money, and so we're just trying to get the information as far as a similar breakdown to what you've got here from the 89,000, not another number.
From your original request.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have that with me.
Right, that's
I
fine.
thought we were giving you
The-
the breakdown for the 2020 primary.
That's
as
right.
of now, what we need. That's what I thought we were to present to you.
No, we've already put the money aside.
That's a Paul question.
Right.
Correct, yes. What was requested has been moved, so.
Your February request was approved and moved into a non-departmental and is in a little,
The amount that was requested by the Board of Elections.
by the Board of Elections,
Right.
was moved in there.
I mean, I can have that if I can get logged in when I get home, I could give it to you tonight. It's already figured, because
Yeah.
it was figured then, in the same type of format that you have for the 2020 primary we just gave you. What you saw in the budget is how the budget's template and the budget's format is, where it tells you per election, the total amount. It doesn't break it out, chief judge, judge, assistant, but as it is in the letter, I can give that to you for the initial amount that was earlier this year, and a copy of the minutes where it was approved and who passed it, who made the motion, who
Now, I
seconded
think all we
it.
need is the information.
Yeah, for
as
then,
far
because that
from
was on a
then. Right.
smaller schedule where we didn't have to vote 12 hours a day. So, yeah, I can get you that quickly.
Okay.
I just don't have it with me.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just for
Commissioner,
clarity.
Commissioner Travis. You
I
had
was
a-
going to say, you ain't got to do it when you get home, just wait till you get to work.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your button's off, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your button's off. Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that I understand. I'm just having a little bit of a hard time following this tonight, so I apologize. But so what we're trying to do is get to the balance of the money that was approved, the $110,000 that was approved by your board. That's what we're wanting to see, and you've already given us $21,000 of that. So the balance of it would be 89 is what your
Would
board
be
has
for the
approved.
primary, what was
Okay.
in the initial budget.
Very-
And that's
very
what I'll be
good.
sending you, which I
Very
believe was
good.
just mentioned I did not have to do tonight. But I will get that to you quickly.
Yeah, but I guess as an aside, I'm just very surprised to hear that this has not been run through and approved by your board. That, to me, that was surprising. I'm a new person, and so I'll understand I don't know a lot, but it seems to me like it would be approved by your board before it's brought to us and presented to us.
Well, moving forward, I mean, obviously, that's what I guess we'll need to do from this point forward. Please remember, again, we've never been through a process like this. This year was the first for us. So we're trying to determine what's being said in your meetings or through the county or our board meetings, what it exactly is,
Well,
that we're trying to provide. So, yes, we will from now on. If we're having to provide you all with numbers for anything and it's actually a new request, then yes, we'll take that through the board. They were sent the information, but no, they didn't vote on it. And I wouldn't say necessarily it was between the chair and me and it was our plan. The chair asked me to break it down further, which has been done for years in our office by chairman. Ask for additional information, additional breakdowns. And if I'm asked by a chair or any board member to do that, or you all, we do it. Rather we've had to do it before or not.
but in the past, you had to present budgets in years past. Okay, and you came up with those numbers by calculating this similar stuff, and as far as the similar data, and then coming up with a total.
Yes.
I don't think that's any different than what we're asking for. We asked for a further breakdown. And that's where we are now. But I certainly hope that whatever you send to us is approved, is what's been approved by the Board of Elections, not just approved by your chairman. I certainly understand that you consult with the chairman, but it's interesting to think that he appropriates additional money on his own, if that's what's happening.
That was the figure, that's the figure with the law now, these new numbers. That's why it went up, because we initially did not think we were going to have to vote 7-7, which current law says we're going to have to. The numbers that I'll be sending you were the numbers that went into what was presented to you in our budget request earlier this year.
When you didn't know you was going to have to vote 12 hours.
Correct. And we based our voting schedule
And
not
that's
knowing what it was going to be, but we based it on the 3 remote sites, our site, and what had previously been done as an estimate. Sometimes there had been 8 hours, sometimes 9. It was 9, I think, in the last, it might have been the last presidential that we looked at, it might have been 18. And that's what the estimate was.
Well, there may have been a miscommunication, because that's exactly the question I was asking, and you answered it, and thank you.
You're welcome.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Okay. I'll get you whatever you need.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it tonight.
Huh?
Tonight, it's not necessary.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Play with your dog.
Any other questions?
I've got one.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Just in general, and, you know, I've been around for quite a few of these budget sessions, but I kind of gather that in the past, you made your estimates based on whatever. You don't need to provide the details. And we approved them in our budget session, normally in June. And you came back at a later date with adjustments.
Correct.
To go up.
Correct.
And I think philosophically, I, for one, as part of this board, would like that figure to be itemized and as close as you can, notwithstanding the constraints that you guys have very ably pointed out tonight.
Well, as you see in the letter, we can certainly do that, and we can start putting it completely broken out by every little step of the way, and not just the way you had it in the budget that we've done for years. We can change that format. I don't know how much space you have in your
No, it's
in your
okay.
template, but we can do that easily.
I'm just asking to get as close as we can. And by the way,
Yes.
I strongly advocate that you solicit the legislature's intervention to stop this other voting. I'd be happy if you got rid of all early voting, but that's a personal opinion.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Travis.
Tina, you know, been here on this board 10 years, and I've looked at your budgets. Some years you've had to request more, some you've had to give money back. And I see that you're, after 10 years, you're at the wheel of the state. And if everybody remembers the last 4 or 5 years, the Board of Elections has been going crazy at the state level. So I understand that it's kind of frustrating because you don't really know how to budget for something. You don't know how it's going to vote, and the state always votes last minute to let you know, hey, we're going to have this many open. So, you know, after 10 years of being on this board, you are real close to what you normally request. So I appreciate that. I think what I would like to see is when that budget goes up, like you say, a reason why that budget goes up or it goes down. You see what I'm saying?
To the commissioners.
Yes.
I will. I have for years notified the county in budget and finance.
My example
Like
is if you...
16, we had budgeted for, and it passed, for a presidential primary in February and all other primaries in May. Before the primary the next year, long after the budget passed, they combined them all into a March primary. So we had a lot of money left over.
Right. And if you know over the
but
years...
I let people know immediately. But I mean, I would be happy to, if you just tell me who you want that information to go to when we're aware of those things, then
give it to
yes.
Paul.
we can send that as soon as we're aware of anything going up or possibly coming down.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because when I first got on this board 10 years ago, we had so many polling places, and over the years, we have cut that polling place down.
Right.
So you have cut your budget down, almost every year, because y'all have been combining polling places, and I would like to see more combining of polling places. I know you don't, and I'm with Royce. I would love to see Sunday and Saturday gone or something to lower that number of polling days.
That's certainly a board decision or a state board decision.
Right,
They're not
but
unanimous.
I appreciate you getting that stuff, but get it to us tomorrow or next day. It's no rush.
I will.
Any other questions? Well, I don't think we need to take any action. You're going to gather this
Okay.
information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 12, Mr. Ronnie Tate. 12A, repair to animal shelter facility to correct deficiencies noted in the state inspection.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. As you know, we've had, or the animal shelters had several state inspections, and on those, there were some deficiencies that were noted. The two remaining items on that list are a dehumidification system to take care of the water and humidity levels inside the facility, and also repair to the floor, which would be an installation of an epoxy floor system to correct that, to seal that floor up for the facility. When I brought this to the board several months ago, the board requested that we look at hiring a mechanical engineer to do the design for the dehumidification system. And we did that, and we also added into some ventilation of the attic space, and there's an additional space in there that the director would like to use to kennel cats, and that space has to be conditioned as well. So all that's been taken into account in the price for the dehumidification system. We did solicit bids for all of these items and bid it out like we normally do. The dehumidification system, the low bid was $168,400. The epoxy flooring repairs were $60,325, and the electrical work for the dehumidification system is $13,300. Subtotal of $242,025. 10% contingency was requested by the Facility and Grounds Committee, and you have a budget amendment accompanying this request for $266,225, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hall.
Ronnie, you said we've collected bids. Were all the bids, were they pretty close in range, or was there a wide variation in bids?
No, they were, I don't think they were off more than about 10%.
So that tells you probably got a good number for
Yeah,
that.
I think the design for the dehumidification system was so specific. I think that helped with that. Very good plans and specifications.
Are you comfortable that this will solve the problems that we're experiencing with the dehumidification?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Along with some other measures we've already taken
Right.
into account, some drainage and grading things that we've already performed. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. For the record, Ronnie, can you share with us how old that facility is?
I'm sorry?
How old that facility is?
11 years old.
12 years old.
It opened,
When I first got here, it's about 8 years old.
yeah, yeah.
Ronnie,
It was a
Thank
poor
you.
design, poor
Mr.
design.
Chair.
Commissioner Richardson will.
Ronnie, as distasteful as this thing is, our multi-million-dollar puppy palace, it apparently has to be fixed, and if you're not in agreement, I'm going to move to approve this request.
According to state regulations and the inspections, it needs to be fixed. Yes, sir.
Oh, but can the state shut you down?
I would say so, yes.
What would we do then?
I would assume Brittany would have to ship the puppies and cats to some other facility, or I don't know. I'm not the animal shelter person.
It seems a question the operators of the animal shelter ought to be thinking about. My motion remains, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Thank you. I got a motion by Commissioner Richardson
I'll second.
and a second by Commissioner Travis for $266,225 for repairs to the animal shelter. Is there any further discussion? Okay, gentlemen, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I wish I could say thank you back. That's a lot of money for an 8-year-old facility.
Turn your stomach.
Should have been.
Yeah.
I don't think the construction issue was good.
Well, I mean, it's gotta happen, but that's just a lot of money. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 13, boards and appointments. Gentlemen, you have, I'm turning it over to Mr. Lance Metzler.
Okay, Mr. Chair, there are three different boards that are seeking appointments. The first is the Board of Health and Human Services. Their request is that you will reappoint Dr. Dustin Martin, who is an optometrist, for a second 4-year term, which would be ending June 30th, 2023.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I got a motion to appoint the recommendation by County Manager by Commissioner Travis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. 13B, Mr. Manager.
Okay, the next is in regards to the Planning Board Board of Adjustments. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kerry, but these are just moving existing Planning Board members around based on their recommendation. And it's to appoint alternate members James Fink and Philip Stone as permanent members for a 3-year term. Appoint Tim Wyatt and Ann Cunningham as alternate members for a 3-year term. And Tim and Ann are currently permanent and have 2 consecutive terms and cannot be reappointed to a permanent position or permanent membership.
Okay. Gentlemen, you hear the recommendation of the request by the County Manager. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion by, was that Commissioner Berger?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All righty. 13C, Mr. Manager.
Okay, lastly is the Voluntary Ag Advisory Board. There were 2 applicants that applied for the Agriculture Advisory Board. One was David Collins and the other one was Terry Isley. The Advisory Board is recommending that you all appoint David Collins to serve on the Advisory Board. It would be for a 3-year term.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Gentlemen, before you have a recommendation by the Advisory Board for Mr. David Collins. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I got a motion by Commissioner Richardson to approve David Collins for the Voluntary Agriculture Advisory Board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I got a second by Commissioner Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All righty. New business. We have one item under new business. And first, just let me share. We have no internet service here, so I'm looking at my phone to get off the packet of the agenda for a couple of items, and that was one of them. So I'm sorry if my attention is not towards the audience. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, this very brief, it should be very brief, new business item that we appoint Pam here to the clerk position as an interim basis, but we appoint Pam Klein during the meeting. She will be sworn in subsequently by myself as deputy clerk.
And I had a conversation with Mr. Morris, our county attorney. Although he's actually the assistant clerk, executing some documents that would require both the clerk and the attorney's signature. He'd rather not sign twice enough.
That's correct, such as interlocal agreements, performance agreements that require both the attorney's approval.
And having another set of eyes look at it is always a good thing. So, gentlemen, I'll entertain is there any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I got a motion by Commissioner Berger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, Commissioner comments. I'm going to start with, how about Commissioner Travis tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to say thank you to Williamsburg Fire Department. Thank you for allowing us to use the facility. It's actually a beautiful facility, so it's definitely representing the community very well. With being at the fire department is to request volunteers for the fire department. So if you live in a community and you want to be part of the fire department in your area, please volunteer, because they help keep your insurance low, and they are there when you need them. So definitely reach out to your fire department to help out. Also, to piggyback on what School Board Member Isley said about the auction, I think it's a wonderful thing. We've been trying to do it for a while now, and thank to the school board for getting it together and bringing some cash flow into the schools. And I think so far they've been sold about $20,000 worth of items. So that's great for going back into the schools. So it's not, all these items ain't sitting somewhere taking up space. We're getting rid of them and redoing it. So I appreciate you and your school board, Doug, for doing that. With that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Travis. Commissioner Richardson. Thank you to Williamsburg community and their fire department. Always great hosts, and we appreciate all of those. And I want to mention publicly, Pam, we certainly appreciate you filling in at relatively short notice, and we greatly appreciate your expertise. Thank you very much. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, all those who are here tonight. We appreciate it. A week ago today, several of us gathered to say goodbye to Dr. Jerry Owens. He was a former county commissioner, RCC president, community leader, and an all-around great guy. He will be missed by this community. We appreciate the service that he gave to the college and to the county. So thank you, Jerry. And thank you, Williamsburg Fire Department. We appreciate you guys hosting us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Commissioner Berger.
Yeah, I also want to thank the Williamsburg Fire Department for taking the time to host tonight, and the Williamsburg community. We certainly appreciate you, your hospitality. Want to further congratulate the Reidsville Recreation All-Stars for representing Reidsville and Rockingham County in the Dixie Youth World Series Championship, and also want to thank Mr. Winchester and those other young folks from the 4-H camp. They did a great job tonight. I know they'll represent us well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Berger. First, obviously, and I know it's been stated several times more, but the Williamsburg Fire Department, thanks for allowing us to come in your facility. These on-the-road meetings is a great opportunity for us to get out into the community and go to those that can't come to us, or it's difficult for them to come to us. I always enjoy the opportunity. But it takes a little work getting here. I'd like to thank Ms. Pam McLean for stepping up and helping us prepare for tonight. Of course, the folks here at here at the Williamsburg Fire Department. And also want to thank Roy Sawyers. Roy, appreciate what you do, getting our community, getting our message out to the public, and we appreciate that a whole lot. I too would like to thank the 4-H'ers, congratulate them for what they do for our county and recognizing them. The youth baseball, enjoy seeing the young folks here at our meetings. And there's a couple of things that I just want to touch on. We lost an individual in the county here recently, a young man that I knew. He worked for the Boys and Girls Club, influencing young minds in our community, and was a mentor to some of those. And then he went on to work for the school system. Mr. Cam Dillard, just a great young man, and he'll be really missed in our community. I know he influenced a lot of kids, had a lot of impact on young lives. And I know that the school system, I've seen something on the news today, that they took the steps necessary. He was one course shy of his bachelor's degree, and they took the steps necessary to make that happen. And so kudos to all involved that made that happen. He was just a great guy, and he will be missed, and his life taken way too young. So anyway, also Ron Ferris, you helped set up too. I almost forgot you, and I think I did thank Mr. Doug Owsley from the school board and our Board of Elections, Mr. Richardson, Ms. Ferguson, and Ms. Reese for being here. I don't think I missed anybody. And that's all I have. So with that being said, we have to go in closed session. I never again will say that we will have nothing to announce when we come out, because that has happened before, and it won't get me twice. So that being said, I would entertain a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to GS North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11A3, consult attorney. Consult with the attorney. A5, instruct negotiating agents. And A6, to discuss personnel. I'll entertain that motion if I had such.
So moved.
I got a motion by Commissioner Richardson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second by Commissioner Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We shall return. Well, I don't know. When are we doing our closed session? Okay. We're going to the kitchen.